Thank you to our sponsors, M&D Drilling out of Waller, Texas. Without your sponsorship, these episodes do not make it to the big time. Thank you to Kyle Golding and his beautiful podcast studio. Thank you to our special guest, Brett Willard.
Thank you for having me on the show, sir. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
From law enforcement to his IVF journey with his wife, and they have a beautiful 19-month-old daughter, to his future endeavor and Speaktacular LLC.
Yes, sir.
And he also approves this podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm gonna stand, I won't be seated. Gonna hold my head up high and stay undefeated. Defining moments on this pod, 'cause I'm American by the grace of my good God.
Brett Willer,
Yep.
Norman Police Department detective.
Yes,
right?
sir. That's
Welcome
right.
to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
This is great.
Before we kick it off, there's a gift from us
excellent.
to you, and there's a code as a discount
Okay.
to our. It's a lifelong discount to our website. So
Excellent.
Like anything you want on the swag. So
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it
yeah, absolutely.
very much. Thank you.
So you talked about church being great yesterday.
Yes. Yes.
Would you
it
like to
was.
bless our podcast before we get into your life?
Yeah. Would that be all right?
That'd be amazing.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Dear Jesus, thank you for us being able to get together here this morning, and please watch over us that we have a good, safe rest of the week, a great podcast, and just watch over the health and safety of all of our friends and family. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Yeah. So how's your morning been so far?
It's been good. A little busy. So we have a 19th, almost 20-month-old baby, Lily. So she's been a blast, and that's our first child and only child, and so that's been really a big adjustment. Minimal sleep, making sure nothing gets torn down in the house. Everything has to be attached to the wall, essentially. Whether it's a dresser, entertainment center, or that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
couldn't be more happy, very blessed. But yeah, so it's in between balancing sleep and other activities that we have going on in life, just as far as my wife and I and daughter, it's been good. But yeah, this morning was good. So, yeah.
Speaking of wife, how's the spousal unit?
She's doing great. Yeah, she loves going to work out. She works out over there at Burn Fitness Boot Camp, and she's been doing that really consistently, which is awesome. She hangs out with our daughter. Otherwise, she's a full-time mom.
Nice.
And so, she's doing great. So
Burn Boot Camp?
Burn Boot
Have
Camp.
you been
So
there?
I have been.
Okay.
I actually am a member there. I need to start going a little bit more consistently. She reminds me of that sometimes. But it's a great workout. Typically when I do go, I like to go in before work anyway. That way, you have it out of the way for the day. But different kinds of workouts every day, lots of cardio. They'll of course do upper body or core or lower body on certain days and that kind of stuff. But it's like a 50-minute workout. Great group of people, and it's there in Norman. I think they have a few different locations here, not only Oklahoma but around the country. But it's an awesome gym, and I like it, and she likes it a lot too.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
It's good. Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to a great friend of mine, Josh Walker, who a good friend of yours too, he brought us together. So thankful for him and thankful for you and the friendship that you guys have brought Margie and myself. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're a detective, Norman Police Department.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about this journey.
Sure. So I'm going to back up a little bit just to high school, getting ready to pick out a college. I knew I wanted to go to college. I just wasn't quite certain yet on what it was that I wanted to do. In my friend group that I had, one of my buddies, his dad at the time worked for the Iowa criminal division, basically is what it is. It's the Iowa Department of Public Safety. And so he had worked in that for several years, and that kind of, sparked my interest, just hearing the different stories and stuff of, him being able to do work in different capacities, whether it was a trooper and investigations, just the different opportunities that he had. So I spoke to him and, found out what college he went to and kind of how he pursued that career. And he went to Central Missouri State University. And so, at the time, like I said, I'd kind of looked at a couple other universities as well and really liked the idea of getting into law enforcement. So I also checked out Central Missouri State University, the Mules is what they are, the mascot. And so went down there, took a look at the campus, loved it. So ended up going down there and was in school for 3.5 years, ended up getting my Bachelor of Science in criminal justice, and then minored in mass communications. And, after kind of slowly migrating south, I guess you could say, from Des Moines, Iowa, where I grew up at, or Urbandale, Iowa, a suburb, down to Warrensburg, Missouri. After that, it's kind of time to start finding a job and putting my degree to work. And so I saw that Norman, Oklahoma was actually hiring, and I've got an aunt and an uncle that I was close to and still am to this day. My uncle actually passed away a couple of years ago, but my aunt still lives there in McAllister, and so I'm still really close with her. And we traveled down to Oklahoma quite a bit as a kid, just to visit and hang out. And so when I found out that Norman, Oklahoma was a possibility, that's something that I jumped on. And lo and behold, 18 and a half years later, here I am. So yeah, it's been
wow.
Fun. Yeah.
So you've been at Norman Police Department for 18?
A little more than 18 and a half, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I started the academy. It's, at the time, I think it was 25 or 26 weeks long. But it was the Norman Police Academy. They host it there at the police department, at the range, actually, is where it's at. So I was in that class, I think, with 15 or 16 other cadets.
Yeah.
And then upon, graduation from that, of course, you have to go into different, it's field training, so you have to work on different shifts with field training officers. And then once you've gotten through all of that, then, everybody has to start in patrol. And so after you've worked on patrol for, a certain amount of time, then you're eligible to get into other units and stuff. So whether that's wanting to get onto the bike team or the SWAT team, or move into something more permanent, being like the criminal investigations division, those things can come up after you've done your allotted amount of time in patrol, basically. So I did 6 years in patrol and loved it. It was great. Always did have an interest in getting into the criminal investigations division to be a detective. And so when that opportunity to board came up, I put in a memo and had the opportunity, of course, to board. I was hopeful, but didn't really know what to expect. But sure enough, I ended up making the cut and became a detective. And I got to go to some pretty neat schools, just interviews and interrogations, and just different, drug identification classes, just anything that would help your, I guess, career while you're back there, just looking into the different types of crimes and that kind of stuff. So it's been great. I've been back there. So started in 2005, did patrol for about 6 years. So I think I went back to investigations about 2012. Roughly is, yeah. So I've been back there ever since. Yeah. But
when you were doing patrol, what was your first assignment?
So I was assigned to day shift.
Okay.
And so I was on the west side of Norman, basically. And I think at the time, actually, we were on 8-hour shifts. And so I can't remember, to this day what my days off were. I was a rookie, so they were probably like, a Tuesday and a Wednesday or something like that. But we've since switched years back to a 10-hour shift, which is great. And I say that because I did some time on day shift and then eventually went to night shift. And, working with just 2 days off on nights, any job, that's going to take some adjustment to get used to just with the sleep schedule. So that third day, when that finally passed, going from an 8-hour day to a 10-hour day and having 3 days off, that was a blessing, I think, for everybody, just more family time, whether you're on days, afternoons, or nights. But then the real big perk, obviously, on nights is you get another night of sleep and just trying to get everything acclimated and back to getting your body back to the right state, I guess, as you could call it. So.
Do you have any crazy stories on when you were doing patrol in your first 6 years? And for example, Chief Gibson from Moore, he talked about biting a naked man on one of his first patrols.
Yeah. Let me think here. Speaking of Chief Gibson, great person. I had the pleasure of being able to work with him at the Lawman Police Department. He was actually my lieutenant at one time and then a captain at another time. That's the thing. Thinking about that's one of the things that I do miss about patrol is there's always something new, a different experience every day. But I really enjoyed getting out and talking to the people, just having you didn't know what to expect essentially. So where I'm at now in criminal investigations, obviously we get new cases and stuff that come in from patrol that they take. But tomorrow when I go in, I know what I need to work on. I know what cases I need to follow up on and that kind of stuff. So I will say that I do kind of miss that side of patrol. But looking back at it, there's been just so many different experiences that I've had. Just in patrol that I wouldn't have otherwise, ever imagined, seeing that in normal life. I'm trying to think, went to a vandalism, I think, one time that it was essentially a prank call, but unfortunately the person got convinced to throw a fire hydrant through the window to break it, and that was going to help, prevent, I guess, any further harm from the person that was, making a threat, I guess, happen. And so you just see strange things all the time. And it kept it interesting. Definitely a lot of good, workers that are there at the police department that I made great friendships with and that kind of stuff. But nothing seeed to be a normal day, I guess you could say. So
did you pull people over for speeding?
Yeah. Yep. So pulled individuals over for speeding. When I was in patrol, I was also part of a offender registration enforcement. And so as part of that team, we were tasked by detectives, I guess, to, if we had to make sure that individuals were in compliance, for example. But I have a really good friend that's I went through the academy with, and he was on the SWAT team. And so that kind of sparked my interest while I was in patrol to move into a different aspect, I guess, of doing work. But yeah, on the day-to-day work, answer calls, so disturbances. And again, it kind of depends on what shift you're on, but daytime, did a lot of disturbances, larceny reports. Of course, did traffic accidents, alarm calls.
Yeah.
We'd get a lot of those in the mornings, just when businesses are starting to open business, unfortunately get some of those faulty alarms and that kind of stuff. And then you'd have some legit ones too, where someone actually broke in and that kind of stuff. And then as you get into evenings and nights, the activity changes a little bit, just, more individuals, I guess, probably start consuming alcohol, later at night. And so we'd get some of those, kinds of calls, and then loud parties and that kind of stuff. So it all varies. It just kind of depends on what shift you're on, the type of calls you're going to get. But you can pretty much expect, it seemed like, anywhere from 7 to 20 calls a day, like for each officer, which stayed pretty busy for sure.
What would be the top 3 I guess, reasons why people speed or excuses that they give you? Crazy ones.
I think once an individual ran a stop sign, and the reason that they gave is because their dog jumped out of the back seat onto the front seat onto their lap, and so they went through the stop sign. Obviously running late for work, I'll hear that a lot as far as individuals trying to get to work or something like that. And then the other one, I guess, probably just moving with the flow of traffic. If everyone else is, going maybe 5 or 10 miles an hour, then that might, just get caught in that flow of it there. But again, obviously there's discretion and that kind of thing. So, take that into consideration. And, as long as people are doing things safely and that kind of stuff, then, there's always room for discretion and that kind of stuff. So.
Speaking of discretion, you talked about the animal, the dog, jumping into the front seat. I've always wondered, is there not a law that says, hey, if you got a pet, man, there's no reason why you should be cruising with a pet, looking at your cell phone, putting on makeup.
Right.
I mean, I just don't understand.
So
please tell me.
As far as like an actual pet being, confined, strapped into a seat or a kennel or anything like that, I'm not. That's not something that I've personally enforced. I can tell you though that there's failure to devote full time and attention. So if someone is driving down the street and they're more focused about something going on in the back seat, whether that's the dog or reaching for their cell phone or something like that, then that's a statute or an ordinance, I guess I should say, that would kind of cover that type of thing to hopefully help prevent those types of situations.
Yeah.
So,
because I see it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just people cruising, on the highway.
Yeah.
70 miles an hour with their dog in their lap or right there on the armrest.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I've seen that a few times as well. It's definitely, failure to devote full time and attention, I think, is probably, if there is going to be a violation and that is actually truly happening, then that would probably be the case. The most suiting, I guess.
Yeah. So no SWAT team for you? Or were you on the SWAT team?
So I was on the SWAT team. I was on the SWAT team for a little more than 13 years. So I got on that when I was still in patrol. And it's part-time. All the teams at the Norman Police Department are part-time. So what I mean by that is whether you're a patrol officer and you're on the SWAT team, or you are a detective and you're on the SWAT team, that's just your sole responsibility, or your primary responsibility, I should say, would be either patrol or detective. And then if you get a call out, then you would respond to the SWAT call out. Those units, for example, the SWAT team trains a couple days a month, have to meet certain standards and that kind of thing, certain criteria that they have to meet throughout the year. But basically, when I was on it, the majority of my career, I was in investigations. And so, I may be working my regular day, and then 2:00 in the afternoon, we get a SWAT call out. So I'll have to drop what I'm doing and then go gear up and respond to that. But the same thing goes for, it's Christmas or it's Thanksgiving and you have the day off and you're home. You can also get activated then too.
Yeah.
So it's a 24/7, on-call kind of thing. So I will say that I got off of that just before my wife and I had our daughter. So that's been nice, just kind of a little bit of a relief knowing that not going to have to worry about that so much as far as my phone. So I think I have gotten a little bit better sleep at night, not waiting for that little ding, to go off at 2 or 3, the text message in the morning to get up and go do that. But that was probably one of my favorite things, actually, experiences as far as working at the police department, just that team camaraderie. In high school, grew up playing sports and, obviously moved on, went to college and got the job and everything. But I really missed that team aspect, and it was just great working with like-minded individuals that also, the same mission, wanting to resolve the situation peacefully.
Right.
So,
yeah. Did you ever knock down doors?
we did.
Nice. How'd that feel? Was it adrenaline rush or what?
It's you always obviously want to do it safely, and
Sure.
so there's a lot of planning that goes into it and everything else. So anytime that we did, I think the vast majority of the call outs that we had were probably pre-planned. And what I mean by that is, that you're going to do a warrant.
Yeah.
And so, there's preparation that needs to be done for that and that kind of stuff. And then there's the other call outs that, weren't expected, where if it's a hostage situation or, kidnapping, whatever the case may be, and the individual's either, confined in a residence or in a vehicle, then, that takes a little bit different planning beforehand. But yeah, there were some search warrants, where having to force in the door after no answer, or a no knock search warrant, something like that. But yeah, for the most part, it was now what they do is just like the knock and announce kind of search warrants. So yeah.
Did you do any hostage negotiations?
I did not. Several of my friends, that I have on the police department, though, are either were negotiators or still are negotiators. They, of course, go to different schooling for that and stuff. I think the FBI is probably the leading agency on that, as far as putting on schools and training and all that stuff. But I always thought it was interesting, just hearing them talk and, just the things that they can work out, and a peaceful resolution that's going to be the ultimate goal. But it's just those guys and gals are skilled, and just really appreciate what they do as well. Just get everything done safely. So.
Yeah. You said earlier you started training as a cadet, or you went to the academy on the range. What's your favorite gun to shoot?
Really a fan of the Glocks. Glock 22s at the time. But it's a 40 caliber. I love it. It's an easy gun to shoot. Smooth transition. At the time as well, shotguns. Grew up as a pheasant hunter and that kind of stuff. So that kind of came pretty naturally. But like the rifles that we train with, definitely less recoil and a little bit more forgiving on your shoulder and stuff like that than a 12 gauge might be anyway. So.
Yeah. As a detective, is it mentally draining at work when you have to investigate certain crimes and things that you hear and see?
Yeah, I mean, there's times where it can definitely be taxing and hits home. Obviously, we're meeting individuals, unfortunately, on probably the worst day of their life. And so, whether that's a death notification that we're doing to someone, or child abuse, or an assault, you're talking to these individuals on probably, like I said, one of the lowest days of their life. And so, it's something that you need to take seriously. It's hard at times to, go home and not still have that a little bit in the back of your mind. But, so that took some time, just, I think, from the time you see that in patrol too. So whether it's patrol or investigations, I got into it because I wanted to help people. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just you need to have a hobby or some sort of stress relief outside of work. And so when I'm not working, whether I'm hunting or fishing, or we love going up to the zoo when it's nice weather, with the family, just pretty much doing anything that's not law enforcement related is a good stress reliever. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, is how do you deal with certain situations when you're feeling close to being overwhelmed or stressed?
Sure. So, I think it's just getting into a good hobby and, taking your mind off the situation. I love my family, love to spend time with the family. I'm real close to my parents, my sisters, aunts, uncles, and so that's nice too to be able to touch base with them and talk to them. And my wife, of course, is very supportive and also a great person to kind of help relieve some of that stress as well, as far as being able to talk things out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and your wife is an amazing person, and I feel like your religious foundation is super solid, and you have a great group of friends that you can talk to about anything.
Yes, for sure, and that's what I definitely do feel blessed. I know that you gave a shout out earlier to Josh Walker, great person, both him and Karen. But yeah, great family. But it's awesome having close knit friends like that. Going through life. So definitely fortunate for that.
Speaking of going through life, I mean, you and your wife went through a pretty long period where you're trying to conceive a baby. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we got married in 2009, and I'm 41 now, about to be 42. So we waited, obviously, or not waited intentionally necessarily, but ended up having our daughter later into our adult years. But it was a long journey. About 7 years to be able to start a family. It was a lot. Couldn't have done it without all the prayer and the close friends and the support that we had. Whether that was our family or friends at church or even friends at work even. Definitely all the prayer helped out quite a bit. But we did have quite a journey going to just going through IVF and going through doctors here in Oklahoma, and then ultimately decided to make the jump and went to Colorado out there and just prayed about it and planned for it, and everything ended up working out in God's plan and financially. And obviously we have our, the biggest thing, blessed with our child. And so it was definitely pretty mentally draining, just a lot to go through. But, looking back now, couldn't be happier with the outcome and everything. But it was a long process for sure.
How did that strengthen your relationship with your wife?
Yeah. So, we went through a lot of highs and lows together. Just whether you found out that you were possibly, that she was possibly pregnant or it didn't work. It was hard because of course you want to get your hopes up. I mean, just waiting to hear, if they're pregnant or not. But, when it didn't work, that was definitely disheartening. And there was, a couple down days where, didn't want to get out and do a whole lot, much else, just kind of wanted to, move the process on quicker. But then there was also, some great things that came out of it, just obviously strengthened my faith. I know that. Just being able to know that it wasn't in my hands, it's in God's hands, and if that's what was supposed to happen, then that's what would happen. And sure enough, the journey was long, but I feel like I'm better because of it. I feel like my wife's better because of it, and now we have a fantastic family, I think. So,
yeah, for sure. What was it like? You said Denver or somewhere in Colorado?
Yeah, so we went out to, I think it's actually in Lone Tree. It's CCRM, I think is the name of it. They are a nationally recognized, I guess, for their expertise in IVF. And so we had known that from the beginning, just it wasn't really an option for us financially. And so, we chose to go the route here, which did that. And, after just doctors were great here, everything was great. Just, felt like maybe it's time, just like anybody would for something medically to get a second opinion. And so tried the new doctor out there in Colorado, Dr. Schoolcraft, and heard nothing but amazing things about him, and ended up getting him as our primary doctor. And it was they made the process super easy. Went out there, I think a few different times, but great at communication as far as where you're at in the process, because you have to. It's not just there's obviously shots and injections and stuff that you have to do for that, and so they just made the process really easy, and it worked out. I mean, I think the best that it could. So
yeah, but shout out to you and your wife. When we met you guys back in July, and because my wife Margaret and I are going through the same thing, and you personally would text me and just check on me and just see how I'm doing, how am I mentally, and those things mean a lot.
Yeah,
and they meant a lot to Margie.
Yeah.
So I just want to let you guys know, man, we
man.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely, yeah.
For doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get all sentimental, but that helped us out a lot.
Yeah,
in this journey.
For sure. Well, and it's funny how things work out. I'm glad that our paths ended up crossing, and that we were able to meet and become friends, and look forward to the future relationship. So
absolutely, man.
Awesome.
That's so awesome, and I just thankful.
Yes.
Right? Just always thankful and grateful for what we have. So
yes, sir. Thank you so much, me as well. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. So you went from patrol, SWAT, now a detective, and you've got a 19-month-old sitting at home, and your wife's a full-time mom. What's next for you?
So in law enforcement, in the city, the pension plan that we're currently in, you're eligible to retire at 20 years. So for me, that'll be coming up in 2025, which is hard to believe, another year and a half here.
Wow.
Yeah, which is awesome to think about. But at the same time, I'd mentioned, my wife and I did have a child a little bit later in life, and so since I am kind of getting to that ending point as far as being eligible for retirement, if that is something I decide to do at 20 years, I definitely started thinking that, with having such a young daughter at home, that I would really like to do something from home, if I could, like to be able to work from home and spend more time with my wife, my daughter, just family, just be able to travel and do that kind of stuff. So I was definitely trying to think of something that had some flexibility. And so while my wife and I were, talking about some of these different options, I got my Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, but I also got a minor in Mass Communication. And doing that, had the opportunity in college, to do some voiceovers and just different commercials and that kind of stuff, just, through schooling or whatever. And that I really enjoyed doing that. I looked forward to those classes. That was fun training. I mean, I really liked to do that. So I slowly kind of got back into, got my feet wet, I guess you could say, my wife and I getting into doing some of the voiceover stuff. So, got a different microphone, my equipment's probably, well, not probably, it is very basic equipment, but set up a small studio just in our closet, essentially, is what it is, and started doing some of the voiceover stuff with that, which it's kind of funny because that kind of segued into me looking at, all kinds of different YouTube videos and doing research and that kind of stuff. I said that all to say that I landed on being able to create an online course. And I wanted to be able to teach others how to create an online course and how to host it on their own WordPress website.
Wow.
And so through all that, Speaktacular LLC came about, that my wife and I own. And in the process of wrapping, all that up to where we can fully launch our website and go live, hopefully February 1st. That's the plan. It's a kind of crunch time this year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crunch time right now, just getting everything wrapped up, but like to go live then. And I'm hoping for the best. The idea behind it is, to teach other individuals that even if they wouldn't consider themselves tech savvy, that they're capable of doing this as well. They don't have to rely solely on one online course platform. If rules or regulations to change, they're not subject to that. They would have more control over their content.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Speaktacular
LLC, yes, sir.
Okay. And what's the website?
It's speaktacularllc.com.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So collaborating together with your wife and making this thing work.
Yeah. It's been an exciting journey. I will say that I definitely thought that it was going to be a lot easier than what I've found out. However, that's gone into my benefit because I've really been able to literally show things step by step, as far as how to create, the course or the website or make certain adjustments to it and that kind of stuff. So I think I got into it a little naive, not knowing exactly what everything, entailed. But after I really, my wife and I dug into it, found out, all the intricate details that you need to know, I think, or that we should be able to teach others as far as being able to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's been a fun journey. I'll definitely be ready. I think both of us will definitely be ready to get that launched here soon. So
yeah, check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, if you're in my chair, what would you ask yourself?
Let's see here. I think we've covered a lot of good stuff today. I talked about kind of where I'm at now. I think right now, I would like to know exactly what a year and a half looks like from now. Obviously, sitting in the chair of being a new entrepreneur, I'd like to know what the future holds. Essentially, I think that's going to be an interesting journey with that. So, I think just looking forward to what's to come is all I could really further say in addition to that. And just my wife and I will be praying about it and just hoping for the best on everything. But just kind of excited about the potential opportunities to come, I guess. So.
Yeah. What are a couple questions you wish people would ask you, but no one ever asked?
Oh, let's see here. Just in general about...
just anything that you wish people would actually ask, but no one does.
Okay. So a lot of times, we love our church. I'll just start there. Love our church. I think it's a great group of individuals. We chose that church just kind of... started with a core group of like-minded individuals that wanted to teach the word from the Bible, and so directly from the Bible as far as reading it and then breaking down the passages and stuff like that. And so that was an exciting journey as far as being able to be a part of the original, I guess, founding, member, anyway, I guess you could call it that. So that's why we really enjoy the church anyway. As far as if someone asked us why we like it, then, I think it's a great group of individuals and, just truly hearing the word. As far as work, I'm glad that I got into law enforcement. I've enjoyed being able to help people. There's obviously different opportunities for someone, anyone actually, if they want to get into law enforcement, whether that's, working for a municipality or a sheriff's department, state department, or federally. But I am glad the route that I chose to take, just because I have been able to stay local. I haven't, had to move or anything like that as far as that's concerned. So I'm happy that I did choose that route. don't think there's not really any regrets. Yeah, no, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So.
What does it mean to be an American?
It's so a lot of my friends, it's fantastic for starters, but a lot of my friends, want to give a shout out to them that are in the military that I work with. They have to leave, take a leave of absence basically from work if they're getting deployed, to go, do the work that they're specialized in. But, really am thankful for the freedoms that we have because of those individuals that have sacrificed their life, and sacrificed their time, and some of them gave the ultimate sacrifice of their life. But for our freedoms, and I really do can't express enough appreciation for that. And then just hearing, some of their experiences that they've had, just that how fortunate we are to have, the opportunities that we're allowed here in America.
Yeah, I'll thank them for their service on behalf of us, please.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
What does it mean to be a dad?
It's awesome. It's an amazing love, basically. It's and it's all the small things too. Didn't even ever think about it really, because I didn't know what to expect, never having been a dad. But you go into her room in the morning, and there's nothing like seeing your child jumping up and down, holding on to the crib, ready to have you pick them up. And so I love it, and that's part of the reason why I'd like to be able to be at home more, here in the near future after things do wrap up, potentially at the police department. But family time, family's everything to me, and my wife, and that would be great to be able to spend more time with them and my daughter at home. So being a dad's great.
I love it, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
More time at Press and Plow in the mornings.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think they actually put in a new one actually closer to my office down there on Lindsay Street. I'm not sure if it's open yet or not, but I saw that they were putting in a second Press and Plow there.
By it's closer to campus.
Yeah, right there by campus. So yeah,
man,
we'll have to go check that one out.
Yeah, I'm in.
Get some coffee and some breakfast. That'd be good. So
maybe get Chief Tarver from OUPD to join us.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be good. That'd be good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
I never used to think it did, and when I heard that for the first time, when you said that, my cousin actually, Georgia, she had we were eating or taking orders for pizza one night, and she, they were asking everybody what they wanted. She wanted pineapple. I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, what? That sounds disgusting. Like, who would want that on their pizza? But actually, you know what? It's pretty good, and I've since started ordering that. Pineapple and Canadian bacon. That's a good combination. So yeah, I think pineapple does belong on pizza, to answer your question.
Oh man, that's
what about you?
good.
Are you a fan of?
No,
it
doesn't belong on pizza. It belongs just in a bowl of fruit by itself. To be honest, I don't think Kyle. He's not a big pineapple on pizza guy either.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's an acquired taste then, maybe. So
my wife likes it.
Yeah. My wife's a big fan of it too. She likes it. So it's good stuff.
If you were to write a book about yourself, what would the title of that book be?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When my wife and I were going through infertility, I had prayed for patience, and I thought by doing so, in my mind anyway, that would mean that things would be easier and come along quicker and all that stuff. Well, probably quite the opposite happened. It seemed like, time seemed to drag on, go a little bit longer and that kind of stuff. But that's definitely taught me, just to rely on God more for those things. But I think that the title probably would be patience, and I could segue into why I've chose that, and how patience has kind of helped me anyway, as far as with starting a family and just, even making decisions and that kind of stuff. So
patience,
yeah.
Well, let's flip that. I don't know if you have any enemies, but let's just say you did. What would the title of their book be about you?
Oh, let's see here. Oh, that's a good question. The title that they would have about a book about me, assuming that they didn't like me for whatever reason. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know if it's necessarily a dislike if someone else would have that or not, but I sometimes tend to be a perfectionist. And so that I think is one of my personal downfalls. So if someone else saw that as far as me maybe taking a little bit longer to complete something or, to accomplish a task, that's probably due to the perfectionist side of me wanting it to be absolutely perfect before it's delivered. For example, this website and online course, been working on it for much longer than I anticipated, but I also want to be able to put out a great product. And so I think that's kind of what one of the big things on perfection is, probably slowed that down a little bit. But like I said, I think in the end it'll probably be worth it.
Yeah.
So Perfectionist would be the title of their book.
Patience and Perfectionist.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Probably to not be afraid to try new things, just to put yourself out there. I think that a lot of times, we have different leaders and that kind of stuff, leaders and leaderships, and you don't even necessarily have to be, per se a lieutenant or, a manager, a CEO or whatever. I think individuals can still lead by example, even if they're in the regular ranks.
Yeah.
And so I think just maybe learning that a little earlier on, that even though, I'm not in, supervisor position, I do have an expertise in this field here. So
yeah.
I think just probably being more open to teaching people about that earlier on.
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe you should write a book called Leadership Without Titles.
Yeah. Be good.
Yeah. I think it'd be a really interesting read.
Yeah.
Especially coming from you and your background.
Yeah. Yeah.
What advice would you give a young man or woman that wants to get into law enforcement?
I would say that, even though I went to college, which and got my degree in criminal justice, very glad I did that. Don't regret that at all. But I will say that I think some of the best cops that we have are, and we have great cops too, that do have a degree in criminal justice. But I think life experience is the biggest thing that anybody can bring to the table. Mm-hmm. So even if you are thinking about getting a degree, pursuing a career in law enforcement, it's not essential that you, in my opinion anyway, get a degree and lock yourself into criminal justice. That's all I'm doing. That's it. Mm-hmm. If you get a business degree, we have plenty of people at the police department that have business degrees, marketing degrees, you name it. We probably have someone there that works in that. So I would say just not boxing yourself in as far as if law enforcement's what you want to do, that's great. But if you're interested in school and college and that's what you want to do, that's great too. Don't box yourself in as far as a degree for that. Yeah. If you decide that, military or something else is a route for you as well, I'd say the same thing there. Try to get into a different field and just broaden your scope of expertise on everything rather than just fine tuning on law enforcement, and that's it. So.
Gotcha. You have a favorite college football team?
I like the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah?
Yep. So my wife's been trying to convert me to be a OU Sooners fan over the years. I do like the Sooners, but I love the Hawkeyes. So.
Yeah.
They're probably my my favorite team out there anyway.
Speaking of the Hawkeyes, I watched them in the Big Ten championship against Michigan.
Yeah.
I was bored out of my mind, man.
I know that was unfortunately that was a disappointing game. You're not the only one that I've heard that from.
Okay, because I watched, I was like,
yeah,
who? I mean, I'm trying to understand.
Right. Yeah. No, you're not the only one that I've heard that from. That was upsetting to say the least, for sure. So, yeah, that wasn't a fun game.
Yeah. Well, OU football fans, I hope you convert and are truly into it, because this next year, for the rest of its life, foreseeable future is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, and I am looking forward to that. Just with them being in the SEC, and I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely be a lot of competition, obviously, but I think that's only going to make them better as well. So I think not only the players, but the great organization and all that stuff. But I think when you surround yourself with that kind of company, you're going to become a better team and a better organization with everything. So,
bold predictions for Iowa Hawkeyes next year football. 13-game schedule. Where they go?
Or
12-game schedule. I don't know.
Let's see here. I think I'm not sure how their coaching staff is actually looking at the moment, just because of a few changes that they're making. And I know that anytime that happens, that can it either goes one way or the other. Rarely does it stay the same. So they could have a stellar season next year and go maybe, I'm gonna say 11-2.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're gonna visit this podcast in about.
Yeah. Well, don't quote me on that. Can you edit this part here too?
No, this is uneditable.
Okay.
We can't do it.
All right. That's the good side. And otherwise, we'll say 5-7. Or excuse me, 5-8.
5-8.
Yeah.
So we're gonna revisit this segment in November.
All right.
It might be October. It might be 0-8 by then. So you never know.
Right. Yeah. We'll put this on the back burner for a little bit. We'll let it simmer, and we'll see how things shake up. And
I like it, man.
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions. I'm cognizant of the time. So, what are you most proud of?
Well, when you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is my family. I love my family. I love I love my wife, my daughter, my parents, my sisters. I just feel like, we grew up close, we've remained close, and I'm just proud that we've been able to, even though I can't stop by at their house, on a, later today, they all live in Iowa still, but we still are intentional, even if it's not necessarily phone calls, but text and, even getting up there to visit actually quite a bit. So I'm proud that we're able to sustain and maintain a great relationship like that. My parents also, when my daughter was born, said that they wanted to see her every month, which I was like, that's awesome, because they're also in Des Moines. But sure enough, I think literally for the past 19 coming up on 20 months, they've gotten to see our daughter at least once a month. Now, whether that's them coming down to Norman, Oklahoma, or my wife and I and a child going up to, Urbandale, Iowa, or even meeting in Branson. We love to spend time in Branson, going down there. But yeah, that's been really awesome, just that they've been able to see her that much, and then just the relationships that we continue to have in our family. I'm proud of that. So yeah.
What's your favorite home cooked meal?
Chicken pot pie. My mom makes an awesome chicken pot pie. And actually, she was asking about that. I turn 42 next month.
Okay.
And so she was asking about dessert. She also makes an awesome key lime pie.
Wow.
Which I'm looking forward to having for my birthday. But my wife makes really good corn casserole.
Okay.
It's a secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret recipe, but it's a recipe that my mom, of course, would always make Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so my wife got the ingredient, the recipe from her, and anyway, she makes it. And it's a good side dish anyway to have with a meal, with an actual full-blown meal, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Yeah.
it's good.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as being a good dad, a good husband, and a disciple. That's something that's really been forefront of my mind, and last couple of years here is just not only are we responsible for loving on people and that kind of stuff, but also sharing the word. And even if that is tough to do, you're going to find yourself uncomfortable doing it and that kind of stuff, but it's what we're asked to do. And so I would love to be remembered by those three things would be great. Yes.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
So this is an election year.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get into politics. However, my next question is, Brett Willer, do you approve this podcast?
I do approve this podcast. Thank you so much.
I love it.
It's been awesome. Thank you for having me on the show here today. I really appreciate what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, and keep on rocking and rolling. So
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Kyle, do you approve this podcast?
Of course.
My name is Wong Lam, and I definitely approve this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you, sir. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
I'm gonna stand, I won't be seated. Gonna hold my head up high and stay undefeated. Defining moments on this pod, 'cause I'm American by the grace of my good God. I'm American by the grace of my good God. American by the grace of